Russian Revolution was very influential to Russia, being that the Tsar, the all-powerful government, was overthrown. Communism was replaced as the answer to the famine and overall class disparity in the motherland.
In the 1790s, Russians were very interested in fur trade, so they'd ship the furs across the Pacific Ocean and sell them at American outposts. This mainly occurred in Northwest America, which you can see on the map below. The fur trade in America brought in a lot of money for the Russian economy. In 1971, America had a trade deficit, so they started trade back up with Russia. Russia mainly imported grain, which was about $135 to $190 million worth. In 1979, Russia spent $4.5 billion in trade with America, and that only took up about 1% of all of Americans' trade. In 2019, we traded over $22.28 billion with Russia. Most of that money was over mineral fuels, oils, and distillation products. We also bought $680.17 million of fish and crustaceans.
Communism is an economic structure that is based on government control, first thought of by Karl Marx when he created Marxism in 1848. He writes about it in his book, The Communist Manifesto, a pamphlet outlining his new economic structure and his prediction about the fall of capitalism. With Russia on the verge of famine, Vladimir Lenin promised bread, land, and peace with his new economic system. Communism was supposed to get Russia out of hard times and give Vladimir Lenin more power. The Red Scare was the United States' response to Russia adopting communism and spying on the United States government. We elected Ronald Reagan to fight the commies, but we just ended up fighting a proxy war where nothing really happened.
Closest friends: India, which Russia has identified as our closest friend, Belarus, China, Kazakhstan, and Syria. India is the closest relationship with Russia because during the Cold War, they had a strong strategic, military, economic, and diplomatic relationship that was kept throughout the years. Russia has a lot of threats, but the most notable ones are the United States of America, Ukraine, and Europe. The Russia value the U.S. as the biggest threat. The U.S. and Russia relationship today is worse than that of 1985. Under Putin, Russia has become a centralized authority state and has once again become a global player who is competing with the U.S. for influence. In World War II, the Russians, United States, Great Britain, and France formed together the Allies of the war and defeated the Axis powers of Germany, Japan, and Italy. Unfortunately, after the war, the U.S. and Russia went their separate ways and became enemies. Russia saw the U.S. as a threat in the Cold War when they camped outside of Russia in Europe and Far East.
Russian culture is very different from the common American culture most of us may be used to seeing every day. The Russian culture is more formal, reserved, and overall more serious. One cultural difference that sticks out from us is that in Russia there is no personal space. In America we tend to have our conversations 3 to 4 feet apart, while in Russia they tend to talk right up on each other. The way relationships are built also are different depending on the culture. In Russia, relationships are serious and they date for marriage, while in America, dating is seen more casual. A Russian date would be more formal and the couple would be dressed up wearing a suit or a dress. Another thing that I found when researching is that in Russia, the people are genuinely friendly because in their culture, they believe everyone is good. While we take longer to gain our trust, we tend to build friendships than trust. Casual behaviors we can do can be considered disrespectful. For example, if you put your thumb through your index and middle finger making the OK sign, this is one very rude gesture in Russia. Another thing I thought I should touch up upon are the Russian dolls. The traditional name for the Russian dolls are the matryoshka. I don't know if I said that right, but these dolls are associated in Russia for family and fertility, and they represent a mother carrying a child and the chain of mothers within the family.
In Russia, soup is very common and has been a traditional recipe for many generations. One of their most popular soups is borscht, which is full of meat and vegetables. Russians also like pierogi, which are little pastries packed with potatoes, meat, cabbage, and cheese. Russians also like drinking tea, but they like it hot, usually with cinnamon. In Russia, their food reflects off harsh climate conditions, but fresh vegetables are grown during the summer. Usually, Russians eat hearty and healthy foods from their gardens. Over time, they have went from being minor importers to major exporters. One of their most popular goods that they export is grain. There are Russian restaurants in America, however, most of them don't have good food because it isn't homemade. Usually, American food is processed, while Russian food is made from scratch. There are many Russian-style restaurants in New York, and in Russia, they have some fast food restaurants such as McDonald's and Pizza Hut.
As for Russia's economy and population, Russia has a mixed economy, as do the United States of America. Russia's economy is ranked moderately free in 2020, as you can see to the chart on the left. As for population, the Russian-American population in America is around 2.9 million people. The foreign-born population in the U.S. is 28.4 million. As you can see, most reside in the New York tri-state area, and in the chart at the bottom, you can see that immigration has grown greatly in the years. Continuing with Russian population, in Russia, more people are mostly in urban populations, 3/4 live in cities. Most work in an agricultural setting, but almost about 30% work in industrial factories.
Before the 19th century, music in Russia consisted of church and folk music. In the 20th century, after the Russian Revolution, a musical underground of folk-oriented and rock groups has formed. Now, in the 21st century, Russian pop music is well developed and has mainstream success. Popular Russian songs such as the Song of Volga Boatman and the Fight of the Bumblebee have made it into American pop culture. Russian music has been used in America, contributing to American pop culture, and some may even say culture appropriation. After World War II, any possession of Western music in Russia was banned. The only records allowed in the country had to be of Russian composers, but many still craved jazz and blues, rock and roll, and etc. For over 20 years, the only way that Russia could get Western music was through bone music.
In conclusion, Russia and America to this day still maintain a trade relationship along with diplomatic relations. We also still see Russian culture in the U.S. along with immigrants still coming to the States as well.